Hey Josh, how's it going? All right. See, this doesn't look like it's perfectly focused. All right, I'm going to add power to the what do you call this? The VFD. I'm going to use a. I should get one of those cutters that you can just wrap around. I used to have one of those cutters a long time ago when I worked with coax cable. There we go. So this is a 220 VFD. You've seen me put together VFDs in the past, but this is a good little review, I guess. So the black is going to go to the R, the white is going to go to the T, and the protective earth green will go to the protective earth, PE, which is, you'll see in a moment, will be pin number 9 in the VFD. Alrighty, I'm going to take this out. I personally don't like these rubber things. When you start to like sort of slit a opening here, it doesn't allow it, like the thickness of this, I'd have to like get a good portion out, and then why even have it? So, and it's going to be inside of this box anyway. So I'll put this with the customer if he wants to use it. All right, let's try to get this view a little bit better here. All right, that looks good. So you can see there's the R and the T and the ground here. And then you have the motor, which is these three. And I'm going to keep that there. I'm not going to hook up a motor. I might off camera, like later on, maybe next week or something, but I'm not going to have this on live stream because this will be the last daily live stream. So that can be seen on my other videos. And especially I have quite a number of videos on Instagram that show this process. That's R. Now the T. And the ground, I'm not sure if the customer has the shielding going on with the spindle. Most people don't, actually. But if there is a fourth pin, or the body of the spindle is being or needing a ground, you can use this position here for that. It's interesting that they painted they always do this. They always paint. Let's see if I can get that a little bit brighter. They always paint the actual screw itself, which makes it more difficult to use with a screwdriver. Oh, my cat appeared. Okay, they're very secure. And I will, from tests I've done before, I'm not sure if it's maybe a one-off, but I can turn this on, and once hi Tigger. Once I get it going, it can actually show the ramping up of the frequency. Hi Tigger. What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up? And we can definitely test that. Would you like something? I'm going for a kitty break. Be right back. Hey Don, how's it going? Alright, now I'm gonna get my my inverter, my AC 110 to 220 inverter. This is really heavy. This is like the weight of some of the transformers I get from customers in their machines. That thing. It's a 3000 watt 110 to 220 or 120 to 240, however you want to say it, I guess. It's got its own little circuit breaker. All right, and those things are cheap on Amazon. It's got a lot of dust on it, but that's not going to stop us. Okay, so let's plug in the. Let me just make sure. Hold on a second. Before I plug it in, I'm going to make sure it is 220. And yes, it is 220. Okay, so the VFD is 2.2 kilowatts, and this is 3000 watts. So there's a lot of headroom there, so it's not gonna cause any problems. And I use this all the time for testing VFDs. 220, since I don't have 220 in my garage. So I'm going to go ahead and plug it in, but it's not on yet. So when I do turn it on, you'll hear the fan turn on for the VFD. And you'll also see, after a period of a few seconds, you'll see something appear on the display. Hopefully there's no pops. Okay, looks good. All right. And if we press run, does it go up? Yes. So you can see that even though we don't have a spindle hooked up, you can press the run and you'll see the frequency increase. And now I just press stop, so it'll go back down to 0. This will be a good way to test the operation of the relay that is connected to the VFD. But first, what I have to do is I have to change one of the parameters. So let's do that real quick. So the parameter I want is for the run parameter. So if I go to the program, it's D000, I think, but let me make sure. Or D001. This book will come with the VFD and it'll give you a really good description of what is going on with the parameters. There are lots of parameters. I mean, I can't even emphasize that enough. There's so many parameters. You can make this work for so many different types of motors of frequency. So the one that I want is, no, it's PD001. So I want it to use the external terminals. So PD001. It needs to be a 1, not the 0. The 0 is the operator, which is the panel. So let's go ahead and go to... I can press the set to see what's inside, and then press the set again and it'll go to 1. But I can also just increase this to 1. Set. We can increase this to 1. Set. So now it goes to 2. You can see that it advanced. So let's go ahead and press program. We're out of it. So now if we press the run button, nothing will happen because I've converted the manual operator to the external terminals. So now it'll only use this to turn this on. Okay, so the power has been hooked up. Now let's go back to the problem that we were having yesterday, which was the x-axis was only moving in one direction. So the way I generally look at this is I'll do some swapping around to see what is the problem. We already know that the cable isn't the problem, so I'm going to put the cable back, and what I'll do is I'm going to, because this is the Y right here, this is the X and this is the Y, I'm going to move the Y cable and little circuit board here that I made to the X and see if the X motor moves in both directions. So let's try that. I've turned off the VFD, but you can see it's still on, and that's because the capacitors that are inside of this, they're really, really large, and they'll hold a lot of energy. Okay, so I'm going to unplug this, get this off of the table, and get the computer set up so we can start working on that. Keep this over here. When I need it, I can get it. I could probably put it in another part of the room, I guess. since I will need to plug it back in, so I'll get that set up later. Trying to keep the place as tidy as possible. Let's make sure the cord is long enough. Yes. Sweet. Okay. I'm going to plug this into my other circuit. Computer, that's good. See any more slack here. Okay, that's good. Just plugged it in. See if I can get this in a place I don't bump my head on it. Boy, that is bright. It would be nice to be able to see both the motor and the, but that's going to be kind of impossible. Well, I'll do both. I'll just do one at a time, I guess. All right. So it's plugged in. It's not turned on yet. So let's turn it on. So I got a which was nice. See, I wonder if I can make this full screen. It shows like not full screen yet. So let's exit out of this. End session. Let's open it up again. Sometimes it'll resize itself. CC Pokies is good. That's good. Yeah, it didn't resize itself. I wonder why. Let's try this. No, it didn't do it. Okay. Oh well, I guess they're going to have to keep it the same size. We'll go out to about right here because the MPG is on this side anyway. So if I press a tab, you can see that it shows up. Alright, is my reset button on? Yes. I needed to do that. So, yeah. I had my reset button, or my e-stop. There we go. So if I press the e-stop, it should, yeah. That's good, that works. Alrighty. So let's go ahead and turn everything on. Oh, I didn't put the cable back in. So let me do that. Yeah. So I got the z-axis moving. For some reason the y-axis doesn't want to move now for some reason. So let me go ahead and plug that cable back in. All right. Let's get that in. All right. I'm gonna make sure it's gonna be plugged in the right direction. Yeah. So the notch goes to this side. This was underneath. All right, so this is plugged back in. Let's go ahead and try the x-axis again and see what happens. And before we had it only working in one direction. We can see that all the the LEDs are lit up correctly. No warnings. So let's see what happens when I think I need to reset it. Device did not accept the jogging command. Alright, I'm gonna have to go back, because I turned everything off. I need to go back into Mach 3, I think. Alright. Reset. Okay, so it still does the same thing. It only goes in one direction. The Y doesn't seem to work at all anymore, so there must be... I must have, like, accidentally unplugged it a little bit or something. So let me check that out. Yeah, it wasn't seated correctly. It wasn't seated all the way in, so let's go ahead and turn it back on. I'm going to reset the computer, or the Mach 3. Alright, now let's try X again. And we should get the same condition where it only goes in one direction. That's the left, that's the right, okay. Y, nothing, still nothing is happening with Y for some reason. The Z works. Let's check the, the configuration just to make sure. I'm going to turn down the brightness on the computer. Maybe that will make it so I don't have to keep adjusting the... Let's see, where is brightness? Can I get it from here? This isn't Windows 11, so I can't remember anymore. No, I'm gonna have to go to settings. Alright, so how's that? Oh, there's a crazy flickering. That looks pretty good, though. Wow, I wonder why the flickering is going on. And it wasn't before. That's weird. Hey Shashi, how's it going? I'm going to move this over here so I can see what's going on. It's a little bit better. But still, the camera has a an FPS that is not working well with the display. So the Y still didn't work for some reason. So let's check the other. The other connector. So something is going on with this, either this connector or, since this is the Y axis, so I'm going to turn everything off. No, this is going to be my last daily live stream totally. I'm not going to do this daily anymore. It's going to be random. I'll probably do maybe a live stream once in a while. Probably like maybe once a week or once a month. I don't know. I still haven't really figured that out yet. Okay, so this wasn't seated very well either. So let's see if that made a difference. All right. I'm going to go ahead and take this off, I think. I also want to make sure there's no crazy chips going on all over the place. I do see some chips. I might have to blow this out before the customer gets it. Even after that really thorough cleaning, I'm still getting chips in here. It's insane. Chips as in little metal shavings. I'm sure that the fan probably helps everything move around too. All right. Okay, so let's try it again. All right, I'm going to focus it on the motors. I'm gonna have to get out of the software and go back in, and it's just like gonna be monotonous if I just keep showing that. Okay, still got that. It's weird, the Y-axis was working yesterday. I'm gonna have to find out what's going on with that. The Z-axis. Alright, so I'm going to check my connections and see what I see there. Alright, so the Y-axis is here. That's a problem. It may be connected to the wrong... No, that's the third one, which is weird. So what is connected to the second one? Hold on a second here. Hold on. So the second one Yeah, that's connected to over here. So, yeah, the third one is connected to the Y. This is the X on the bottom. The Y, you can't see that. So this is the X, this is the Y, this is the Z, and this is the A, or the fourth. X, Y, Z, fourth. All right. So this is the Y here. I'll make sure it's going to the right place. That's good. It's hard to get my fingers in here. You have to make sure that all the energy is dissipated before you can disconnect one of these connectors. So I very seldom ever want to do that. This looks good. And this looks all right. Okay, so all the connections look fine. Maybe I should check the cable for the Y. Alright, let's try it again. Okay, it works now. It must have been a connection issue, but it's working fine. It's going in both directions. So the Z looks like it's working fine, and I've got to find out if I have the fourth axis set correctly. So I'm going to take a look at the motor outputs. The A axis is, let me just go ahead and put A, B, and C just to see, because I know I was having a problem before with trying to turn that one. But I have to use this and press the 4. Nothing is happening. Yeah, I'm not getting anything on the fourth axis. So let's go ahead and just focus on the x-axis first. I want to see if I can get that running in both directions correctly. So I'm gonna train my camera to the electronics and I'll show you what I'm planning on doing. So I want to determine whether it's the driver or the connection. I don't think it's going to be the controller. But I'm going to turn everything off first. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to move the y-axis, because I know the y-axis from the controller is able to move it in both directions. So I'm going to take the y-axis, and also this cable is longer. I can't take the x-axis and move it to the y. So, or I will have to do some, maneuvering of wires to, if I wanted to see if it's the driver itself. And I could take out the this part and move it to here, or I can take the entire what do you call this thing? Terminal block, and I'm probably going to do that. Alright, so now the x-axis isn't, so it's still at the y-axis, and I'm going to put the y-axis to this driver, and I'm going to try to, because I know the y-axis is working from the controller. So if I still get only one movement, then it's something at the driver or it's the cable. So let's take a look at that. Let's turn it back on. So we'll be focusing on the first motor. Since the y-axis is connected now to this motor here. Let me restart my Mach 3. Okay, so it looks like it's not the driver. So we're using the driver that was going in one direction, so we know it's not the driver. So it has to be either that little circuit board that I made, or the cable, or the controller. So those are the three things that now I have unknowns. So let's go ahead and move it to the x-axis now. And then we'll determine whether that will tell us if it's the cable or not. So let's turn this off. Turn the circuit breaker off so the 24 volts isn't present. And what I'm going to do now is move this connector here to the x-axis. Let's take a look and see inside that connector to see if there's anything. Let's do a visual inspection, I guess, inside of that connector. You can see that there's a lot of motion blur, but just because I have everything bright. Everything looks good inside of that connector, so we know that there's nothing sort of shorting going on. So let's go ahead and bring it back down. Move the connector now that everything is off and energy has been dissipated. Okay, so now we have it set up at the x-axis connector. So now it's as if the x-axis is connected correctly to this x-axis driver. So let's see what the x-axis motor does now. Go ahead and turn it on. Okay, so let's move the x-axis. Left. Right. Okay, so we get a good left and right. So that means that the problem is somewhere in here. So we've diagnosed everything. We know that the controller is working correctly because we're connecting it to the x-axis motor connector, and it's connected to the x-axis driver. So we know the driver works fine. We know that the controller works fine. We need to take a look at this and see what I have wrong in this, and what I've put together. And you can see that this is a manually soldered board that I created. Instead of having to take these individual wires and put them in here, I made a board. And I really do need to make a board. Looks like there's a missing pin there. Oh no, that's correct. That's correct. I forgot how I made these things. All right, so let's go take a look and see what we can find out about this. Let's come over to my desk. We'll take a close look. Oh my God, that fan is so the air is moving so much that it's making my neck cold. Okay. Let's see, where's the camera? All right, the camera needs to be over here. So somewhere there's a solder joint that's probably not good or doesn't actually connect. It's funny, I'd love, after I find out what's going on, I'd love to go back to that live stream and see if I actually noticed it when I was doing it. Okay, so I'm not sure if these two are supposed to be connecting. I'm gonna have to take a look at another one. So I'm gonna get another one off and see. So this is the good one right here. So let's see what we find out. Looks like I'm going to have to bring out my soldering iron again. Ah, I see the problem. Okay, so that was the problem. These two are not connected, whereas these two are. So there's the problem. So I'm going to have to get my soldering iron out and unsolder or draw out some of that solder. I'll probably use a wick or something, or just use the surface tension of solder with my soldering iron. Yeah. And thank God, because if it was the driver or the controller, that would have been a big deal. This is a tiny problem. And generally, I knew it was going to be something like this because drivers and controllers rarely go bad. I mean, like, literally, I sell this stuff, even though they're Chinese, I sell these drivers constantly and these controllers, and I never get people telling me that something went bad or something went wrong or something doesn't work. So I know that it's always going to be generally something that I did, or it was a connection problem, or I do get people asking for technical support. And on these technical support calls, it's generally going to be like a user connection problem. And if you look at the if you look at reviews on drivers and stuff on like Amazon, you'll always notice that the problems are always like, it's never like a bad driver. It's always like you don't know how to work it, or manual is missing, or you know, something like that. Operator error. Hey Kiki, you're on live stream.
Oh, yeah, never mind.
Okay.
Call me back.
Alright, bye.
You're gonna see why I said that.
Okay.
Okay, bye.
Alright, bye. Okay, so let's go ahead and take care of this short here. The Finercy. Turn on the Finercy. Even though I know that, you know, like devices don't go bad and stuff, I still always get nervous when I turn on the thing for the first time. Always, 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 always. All right, let me get my magnifiers. My eyes are blind. "56 years old and eyes aren't like they used to be." My eyes started going bad in my late 40s, I think. All right. I shouldn't need any solder, so I should just be able to draw this out. If I draw too much out, then I will need to get the solder out. All right, let's see if I can get this kind of on camera so you guys can see this as well. Let me get my solder cleaner and my fan going. I might need to get the wick out. That's clean. Okay. Yeah, may want to get the wick. I'm getting it off though. I just don't like doing this too much. Man, there's a lot there. How did I miss this? Alright, I'm getting the wick. It's taking too long. Yeah, when I was in programming for clients way back in the day, like in the 80s, late 80s, early 90s, we had a saying, to my customers, I always say, it's an I/O error. And you know what I/O error means, right? Who knows what I/O error means? Let me see it in the comments. What is an I/O error? And you're gonna get it wrong if you say it what it normally means. Okay. No. Wrong. Alright, I'm gonna burn my finger, I know I am. Come on. Okay. No more short. Good. It's an idiot operator. I/O. Idiot operator. It means that the programming is always perfect. Programming is always perfect, but the operator didn't enter the information correctly, or didn't access or interact with the software correctly. Obviously, it's the opposite. It's always going to be programming error because you have to program everything. You have to program every possible outcome that could happen. All right, I'm going to take a look at it again just to make sure. I'm going to try to analyze both boards and just to see if there's anything that I got wrong here. Idiot operator. So my customers, I would always say, you know what that is? That's an idiot operator, meaning that the client got it wrong. But they were cool. They were cool people. All of my customers and clients had a sense of humor. All right, these look identical. Identical. Let's see. Yep, that's still good. Those two. Oh wait, there's a problem here. Oh, that doesn't matter because that pin isn't even used, so that's fine. Yeah, okay. I could take that off anyway. It's not really necessary though. So, okay, let's go ahead and try it out. Alright, that's bothering me. I'm going to take it off. I'm just going to make it so the short isn't there, even though the pin isn't going to be used. I'm talking about this one right over here. Man, I really kind of want to go back to the me messing with this could also screw other things up. Alright, wick it. Time to wick it. Wick it good. I say wick it. Alright, I'm going to turn this camera around so I can get my head in there and it won't cause a problem for you guys. Come on. Da-na-na-na-na. Da-da. This wick isn't working very well. I think I need to add some solder or some flux to it to really make it work. Oh, it's not even on. Oh, it's on. That's weird. Huh. Alright, now they're good. That's good, that's good. The video quality is dark, yeah. Happens when I zoom in. So we can see that there's no more shorts there. Everything looks good. So let's go ahead and try it out. All right. Where were these? The 4 open ones. So let's go ahead and put these in. Let me zoom out a little bit. I'm going to try to make it as level as possible. Okay, where's the other cable? Here it is. You're like, hold that screwdriver straight. I yell at the screen sometimes, like, that drill, man, make that thing straight. All right, okay. Bada boom, bada bing, bada bang, done. All right, let's fly away. And then we can tackle the A driver. I never use the A driver, so it's something that well, I'm gonna have to figure out as I do it. But I'm gonna set it up as a slave, so it will turn when I move the X or Y axis. I don't know. We'll see. But let's get this sucker hooked up. Go with the X first. And I'm not going to plug that one in yet because the Y would be easier to plug in first. Let's plug this into the Y. All right. Oh wait, that's the wrong one. Well, I can just take this out actually. The longer one. Feels right. Okay. All right. So let's plug the Y in. Let's plug the X in. And let's give her a spin, literally. What am I doing? There we go. Now I'll put my wire ties on there as well. My zip ties. Pretty. All right. Let's give it a whirl. I know. I have this stuff all over the place. I didn't want to trip over things, so I brought it up. Imagine tripping over a wire and then yanking a connector out of a brand new enclosure. That would suck. Alright, let's turn it on. Circuit breaker, power switch. Software. Reset. X. Left. X right. Good. Works. Yay. Y. Up. Y down. Z up. Z down. And then I'm going to go ahead and hook this up as a slave. So this will turn when one of the other turns. Let's hook it up as the X slave. Yeah, these are really big steppers. They're 12 pounds each. They are actually 12 pounds each. It's like incredibly heavy. They're 12 Newton meters or 1600 ounce-inch torque, which is enough to seriously injure somebody if they got in the way of it, of an axis on a CNC machine. Alright, so let's go to, this is so hard to see even for me. I'm going to bend this down. Maybe it'll be easier for you guys too. I don't know. Probably not. Hopefully my head doesn't get in the way. Alright. And that doesn't look very... Yeah, that's better. I wish there was like a micro adjustment for focus. Okay, so let's go to config. And I'm going to go to slave axis right here. That wasn't, yeah, that's the one. So I'll slave the x-axis with the a-axis. So let's try that. That's okay. Let's restart the program, because that's what it's telling us to do. And let's see if the a-axis will move when I move the x-axis. And if it doesn't, then we have another problem. Alright, so these two axes should move at the same time. Let's find out. And it does not, so we got another problem. Alright, so now let's see if, let's do some more troubleshooting in here just to do sanity checks. So we know the z-axis works. Well, let's go ahead and just move this to the z-axis and see if I get the slave axis action going on with the z-axis. So I'm going to turn everything off. I'm going to wait for a little while. So I kind of want to actually let's put the z-axis to the stepper first. Let's do that. So I'm going to remove the don't know if you can see that very well. Even I can't see it very well, actually, even where I'm standing and looking. Is it like, okay, there we go. So I'm gonna take this out here. All right, so that's the long one. I'm gonna remove the Z-axis, and I'm gonna make that driver act as the Z-axis. So I'm going to put that in the Z-axis. So if that driver, if that driver works with the Z, because I know the Z-axis is working from the controller, I know that, and I know it won't be a configuration issue, because that's what I'm thinking. It's more of a configuration issue. So if the driver works with the Z-axis, then I know that the driver works. All the connections that I made to the driver from the motor and the encoder and all that stuff works. And then if it doesn't work, then I'm going to have to look at the possibility of the driver either being bad or some connections I made with the motor and the connectors, or even inside the wiring, like all the wiring. So I could also do that. I can change the wiring from one to the other, so I can diagnose whether that's the problem. So let's go ahead and see if that motor moves, and I'm hoping it does, because I don't want that to be a wiring issue. Like, you know, the cable assembly that I created, that would suck if that was the problem. All right. And there's obviously other, I can check that with continuity and stuff. So this is really good that this is happening, so others can find out how to diagnose their own system. Not that I'm saying this is the best way to do it, but this is the way I do it. All right, let's start mock over again. Okay, so the x-axis, let's go ahead and try that. Okay, the x-axis works, so we're going to try the z-axis to see if that last motor works. Nothing. Okay, so we know now it is an issue. It could still be the cable assembly, so not the cable assembly, but the it could still be this part right here. It could be this. That is the problem. So, I need to check to see if this will work if I connect it to this driver. So I can rule out the cable, this ribbon cable, and my little perf board thing. So let me turn it off. Since this wasn't connected to anything, I'm going to go ahead and remove this. So let's connect this one. So I'm hoping that my Z will still work with this cable. With this cable, because if it does work with this cable, then I can rule this cable out, and then it's going to be a problem from this point onward out. So let's take a look and see if we still have communication with this cable. All right, I'm going to train it on the motors. All right, so I'm going to be trying to move the Z-axis here. And it is connected to the Z-axis on the controller. Let me get out of the software, turn on the system. Start knock over again. Let's try the Z. It does work, so that means that unfortunately it's going to be something in the cabling or it's going to be the driver. So let's rule out the cabling. I'm going to turn everything off and wait for a little while. So I'm going to plug all this stuff back together because I know that the ribbon cable is okay. And I'll put the Z back the way it was. Actually, no. I want to still make this the Z-axis because I don't want any configuration issues to be in the source of my problems. So let's go ahead and take this connector off. And what I'm going to do is, and it could even be the motor, but I'm suspecting it's going to be my cable assembly, the way I soldered everything up together. Or it could also be the connectors inside here. Could be this wiring here, and it could also be this wiring here. So actually, let's take a look at that first. So this is black, yellow, red, blue. Black, yellow, red, blue. Let's make sure everything is tight. Black, yellow, red, blue. Okay, everything looks good there. Let's take a look at the encoder. Okay, so we have, let's see if I can get that better. Yeah. So we got yellow, green, black, blue, red, and white. And that's exactly what I have on the next one. Let's see if I can get them both in shot here. So I've got the yellow, green, black, blue, red, white. Yellow, green, black, blue, red, white. That looks all correct. So, I'm going to do the swap of the motor cables. So what I want to do is I want to maintain this as the Z-axis inside the at the driver. So when I move it, should be a Z-axis thing. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to change it to the Z-axis motor. So I'm going to disconnect the motor here. This cable. Or I could actually just move it here on yeah, okay, so I'll do that. I will move it. So this is the A-axis, and this is the Z-axis. So I know the Z-axis works, so I'm going to move these two up to here. I am unsure about this cable, and I am unsure about this cable. So let's go ahead and put this one on. This was the z-axis. Now it's going on to the a-axis driver, which is now the z-axis driver. And then this one's going to go to the z-axis. Okay, so hopefully everybody is following along with that, if you really care. So let's go ahead and turn it on and see if the z-axis works. All right. So this motor should move because we're using this motor for that driver, the top driver. Now let's start mock. All right, so let's go ahead and try moving the z-axis. Nothing happens. And that's not good. We got X, we got Y, no Z-axis. Let me make sure it's connected to the Z-axis. Yep, that's connected to the Z-axis. So it could be my, let's see, All right, so what I'm gonna do now is, could be the connectors. So I'm gonna swap these connectors. I'm gonna swap these connectors here to here, here to here. And then I'm gonna put them back on. I'm gonna connect them back the way they were before over here. All right, let me turn everything off. All right, so I need to keep my mind in the right space because this sometimes gets confusing when I'm doing this. I'm putting the Z-axis motor connector back on. So we know it's probably not the cable. Now I think that's what we found. That's what we're concluding with this. It's not the cable because that would mean that it would have spun if it was the cable because we tried a different cable and a motor. So it's got to be between the connector and the driver, or the driver's bad. One of those two. And I'm thinking it's going to be the connector, personally. This is so much easier doing it on... This is so much easier doing this on non-live stream because I can think, and while I'm trying to explain it on live stream and I'm nervously doing this on live stream, it's really difficult. So I need you guys to bear with me. All right, so wait. I need to do that over again because I didn't have this cable connected to here to test it. Oh my God. Okay, so let's do this over again. I'm gonna bring this, wait, hold on. No, never mind. I was doing it right. But I could do it where I'm testing the cable to ensure that the cable is gonna work, and move it here and move these cables back down. So let's do that. That makes more sense in my mind. There was a question, shouldn't you save settings before closing? I am saving everything, yeah. There's no settings that I'm saving. Once I set something and then I get out of the Mach 3, yeah, the settings are saved. I'm not like turning the computer off. Whenever you get out of Mach 3 and you say end session, it saves the settings. If you turn off the computer and you didn't get out of Mach 3, the settings are not saved. All right, so I know this Z-axis driver is working. I know the Z-axis motor connectors are working. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just move these motors and make sure that the motor is working and these motor connectors are working. So let's try that. So let's go back this way. This makes more sense to me to do first. So I'm going to move this motor here, and this one is going to go to the next one. All right, this makes sense to me. I don't really have to screw this in. I will, just to make sure. All right, so now I have this cable going from the Z-axis of the controller. It is going to this motor, or this driver, and then I have this driver connected to these two, which is going to the last motor. So we're going to check to see if the cables in the motor is working. So let's see if that does work. All right, I'm going to get out of this end session. I'm going to turn this on. Turn this on. Go back into Mach. All right. Now I'm going to try the Z-axis again. And if this motor moves, then I know that it's not a cable issue. And it does move. So there is it is not a cable. So now we have found out that it's either the driver or the connectors connecting to the driver, or the connection to the driver. So let's see what that is. So the error or the problem is occurring somewhere from here to here. Because we know that the cable is working fine and the connection here is working fine. And the motor also works. Okay, so let me turn everything off. All right. And so let's see if we can find an easier way to determine. So what I could do, I wish I could do this. If I could take this and move it over here. I could do this. I could move this over here and move this over here to see if the driver is bad. So let's do that. I first need to make sure that these connections are back the way they were. So we know this already works. So let's put this one back over here. So we know the cable works. Let's take this, put this back at the top. We're getting somewhere. We're localizing the problem, essentially. All right. So everything is back the way it was. I could start it up just to confirm that the z-axis is working. So what was I doing? Yeah, let's go ahead and confirm that just to make sure. Yeah, because that way I'll know that I got the wires in the right place. So let's do that. I'm going to turn this back on. Get out of the software, go back into the software. All right, so I want to see this z-axis spin. And it does. Good. Y-axis. X-axis. Good. And obviously the fourth axis doesn't work because it would have been spinning if it was even plugged into the controller. It's not. So let's go ahead and turn this back off. So what I'm going to do right now, because these are longer than these two, I'm going to move these over to here. So I'll know that it's, if it starts working, then I know the driver is good. If it doesn't work, then I know the driver is bad. And I don't want to unplug these yet, because this is high-powered stuff. No, I can do that because I was doing that to here, so that's fine. All right. We haven't gotten any arcs anyway, so I know that's fine. I'm hoping it's an issue here and not the driver. All right, so I need to be able to get this out of the way. But let's go ahead and put this. I may have to disconnect the power. Hopefully it reaches. Yeah, it's fine. It reaches. Okay, now the encoder. All right, that's in. And then this, which is the z-axis. All right, this is going to tell me if it's the driver or not. If I get spinach on the last motor, when I use the x-axis, the driver is good. And then I can figure out if it's this connector or if it's, where's the other one? Or this connector. So these two connectors could be the problem. I want to get this out of the way. They're not touching anything. This is fine. Okay, so here we go. So this is connected to the Z-axis controller and connecting to the second connectors here. Well, let's see if that works. And it should turn this motor here. Please work. No. Not working. That means there's something wrong with the driver. So let's see if I have all the settings right. I'm going to go ahead and turn it off. Turn this off. So it could be one of the settings here on the side. It's going to be hard to get in there, but I will probably have to bring in my flashlight. It didn't have any warnings or anything here, so that's at least that didn't happen. The dip switches are all set exactly the same. I need to see if this switch is set for 24 volts or 5 volts. And I think it's 24 volts. Hold on. Cat was meowing outside. I had to figure that out. Okay. All right, that one's down. Is that up? I can't really tell. What are you complaining about, Cat? Okay, that was the problem. It's because that little switch was up. It was set to 24 volts. Okay, what? What? Okay, so now it should work. I'm going to go ahead and test it again in this configuration. Okay, there's a question here. You still haven't eliminated the cable to motor? Yes, I have. I've eliminated it because I tested the, I showed this motor moving on the Z-axis. I did actually show that. So, and that motor was connected, the motor and cable was connected to the working driver. But I think I got it straightened out now anyway, so I think it's gonna be good. So we'll see. I'm going to go ahead and keep it this configuration because it's working on the Z-axis. And let's see if it works. All right. I know there's a lot going on, and my mind is in one place, and I'm trying to explain as much as I can while I do all this work. But yeah, I did check the motor and the cable, and it would be. I mean, we could probably go back in the live stream to check that out to see how I did that, because there's so many things going on right now that, like, it's even confusing me sometimes. Let's go ahead and see if it works here. All right, let me turn everything on and then get out of the software. And then go back into the software. So that last driver is connected to the Z-axis. So when I move the Z-axis, this should move. My cat is complaining about something. Okay, so the cable, the driver is working. And it was because of that switch inside. So you can see the driver is connected to the Z-axis. The cable on the top apparently is going to the Z-axis motor, and I'll swap those two, and we'll do a reconfirmation of the motor cable. Maybe you saw something that I didn't, and maybe you are right about that. But let's go ahead and do that too. What? What? Okay. So let's turn everything off. We know the driver works, so that's a good thing. Because before we had that switch in the other position, it did not work. So we know now the driver works. So that's awesome. What? What? Okay, I need to see what this cat wants. Come on. This cat is distraught. Come on. Come on. All right. Let me get the kitty break off. Okay, awesome. So let's go ahead and put this back the way it's supposed to be. Okay, I'm still going to keep it to the Z-axis just so I can test the motor cables the way they are sitting right now. These are not easy to get out. Okay. That 24 volt, 5 volt switch trips up everybody. I get calls all the time about that. And I say, okay, just change that switch, and they always say, oh, it was working miraculously. All right. So now I have the Z-axis still connected to this driver, and the driver is going to the proper motor cables here because I just changed these. I just swapped these back. So they're going to the top motor cables. So it should move the last motor here over here. So let's go ahead and check that out. All right, so let's get out of the software. I'm repeating myself a lot. Turn on the system. Turn on the computer or the power. Go into Mach 3 loader. CC cookies. And let's see if the z-axis moves this one. I have a feeling it will. Let's see. Yes. Okay. So now we know for certain it's not the motor cables. Everything is good. Molto bene, molto bene. All right. So now let's go ahead and connect the correct signal cables back to the drivers, and then let's test the slave axis function. So let's turn everything off again. Where is my other cable? Here it is. Get this back. On. All right, so this one is going to be, this is going to be disconnected from the controller, and it's going to go back to the second one, but I don't want to plug it in yet because it's harder to get this one in. Let's plug this one in. Let's go to the controller. So this is the z-axis. It's going to go to the z-axis motor connector. And another reason why this controller is so awesome, it has 8 motor connectors. It's crazy. And let's put the A-axis or the 4th axis to the last one. And let's test the slave function. See if it works. Everything should be good. Let me take a second look here. Everything is good. Yep. All right. Let's go back to the motors. I'm going to go ahead and turn on the system. And now both of these should turn at the same time. Whether they're going in the same direction, that's a different story, but they should be both moving at the same time. And they may move at different rates. That's all going to depend on the dip switch settings. Now, let me get out of the software, go back in the software. Because it never works if you try to spin it after it's been turned off. All right. There we go. Both of them are spinning at the same time. So we have slave axis functionality. Awesome. Everything works. All right, so now let's test the VFD turning on. So we're going to have to do some software configuration for this. Let's see if I can set this up in a good way. I'll explain while I'm doing this. It's going to be difficult to see it on camera. See if I can go a little bit closer. All right, so I'm going to have to go into the pulse engine settings to show that, or the key mapping. So right here, I'm going to be mapping out the output for the relay number 1. So let's see where. Wait, hold on. Yeah, here we go. Outputs. Okay, so you can see that there's a bunch of functions here you can't really see. I wish you could see better or closer. Yeah, you can see it now. You can see relay number 1, relay number 2, SSR, which is solid state relay number 1, solid state relay number 2, output. Well, you have a bunch of. You should have a bunch of them. I don't know. Maybe you don't. I never use these. I haven't really played with those at all. But we're going to be using relay number 1. Wait, hold on a second. Get out, get out, get out, get out. Alright, so no. IO. It's been a little while since I've been doing this. I need to do this with a mouse or something. Okay, so output number 1 right here. So I'll make this output number 1. And I don't think there's anything else I need to do here. I'm very rusty in this, by the way. Okay, so that's good. I think output number 1 is correct. I don't think I need to do anything in the outputs here. I think that's automatic. Yeah, see, it's automatic. It automatically went enabled when I made that change. So that's good. So press OK. And then, oh no, I need to do something else there. Config. Ports and pins. I need to go to spindle setup. Uncheck the disable spindle relays. Output number 1 is going to be clockwise. I'll also do this for output number 1 as well. So that makes M3 and M4 work for output number 1. Press OK. Or I'm going to apply it just because I like to do that. All right, so when I press the spindle, it should show the light shine on the relay. So I'm going to press it. I should hear a click. I heard a click. I'm going to turn it off. I heard a click again. I'm going to show that as a close-up to you guys. And you should see the LED shine up as well. The LED should be somewhere around here. I think it's one of these two LEDs here. So watch these two LEDs while that happens. So I'm going to go ahead and press it. When I press it, I'll tell you before. I'm pressing it now, and it turned on. I'm pressing it again, and it turned off. So the outputs are working. I'm going to go ahead and show the function of the VFD. I'm going to go ahead and turn the VFD on. I have to get that box out here. 1 second. Where did I put that box? Oh, it's in a place that I can't reach it. That's nice. That's heavy. Let me get you out here. Alright, I got the box set up over there. I'm going to go ahead and plug in the VFD. This is something that I did in the beginning of today's live stream, is I connected this to the VFD. That's an output for 220. You need to plug this in. After I test the VFD, I'm going to test the proximity switches and show you also the configuration. Okay, so where is the plug for that? Oh, yeah. I use it for my soldering iron. So if you missed that in the beginning of the live stream, go back and watch it later on if you're interested. I'm going to go ahead and turn this on, and the VFD should automatically turn on. There we go. So the VFD is on. And also in the beginning of this live stream, if you weren't here, I changed the parameter here so it used the external terminals. So let's go ahead and spin this sucker up using the relay. And it should just go ahead and start a ramping up of frequency once I do that. So I'm going to press it now. Okay, I just pressed it. Now you can see it ramping up. Now I'm going to go ahead and press it again. And it should show ramping back down. Alright, that's good. Excuse me, I have something in my throat. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and turn off the VFD since we know that works. It's going to take a while for it to actually turn off because of the capacitors. You also saw the error show, and that was an error that it was like under voltage or something like that. Okay, and that's correct because it wasn't getting any voltage at the input. All right, so that's good. So now we are going to look at the proximity switches and test those out. And I hope I remember how to do this. But you can see that there's those LEDs. I don't think it would work right now if I... Let's see. Yeah. Yeah, it does. So it's just reversed. So let me show you what I'm doing here. So right here you can see that there's an LED indicator on the back of the proximity switch. And if I put metal near it, you can see it's about 4 millimeters, which is correct. This is a 4 millimeter proximity switch. You can see it turn off and then turn on. You can also see that happen with this LED indicator on the board itself, which is really, really nice. So when I put it close, you can see that it turns on and off. So you can see the indicator on the board changing. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to make it so these are not going to be showing lit up. It's only going to light up when I put this closer, because that's what I'm doing is I'm swapping, I'm inverting it. So let's go to the software and check that out. This is a little bit bright. All right. I don't actually have to have the motors on. Let me go ahead and turn off those and see if they still work. Right, okay, so they still work. You can see that because the controller is still on, you can still see these LEDs lit up, and those are still lit up because I still have the 24-volt power supply going on and powering the controller. So we can test that without all of that noise going on in the background. All right. Let's see. Nothing in the chat, so okay, let's continue on. All right. So I'm going to go into the plugin control, configure the Pokies 57 CNC, and then over here I'm going to go to Pulse Engine settings, and this is where I do all of these changes. So you'll see that when I let's go ahead and look at that and see if it even shows anything. So I'm going to go ahead and nothing. Okay, so what I need to do is I need to set these up. So on the x-axis, limit minus is going to be enabled. The home ref should have it should have shown up, but let's see. Yeah, it should have shown up. Let's change this also, and change this. Oh, maybe I wasn't clicking on the right thing. Okay, you can see that something was triggered. So, and it's going to always be triggered because of the fact that it's not inverted. So let's go ahead and invert those as well. Oh, it's the one that wasn't actually plugged in, so I can't really do that. But that's fine. I can just ignore this one right here, because I don't have that sixth one. All right, so let's go back to plugin control. After I reset, Pulse Engine settings. All right, let's try it again on one of those. Yeah, so you can see that it turned red when I put this close to it. It's hard to show this all on camera, unfortunately, but I will show that again, and I'll just put my the metal of the screwdriver back and forth. You can see it go red and green, and that shows you that that proximity switch is functioning correctly. So, and it actually shows a condition where that was active, so that's actually kind of good. So we have these set up correctly already. Let's try another one. All right, so that's a home switch. So that's good. Everything is actually working correctly. I didn't have to invert it or anything, so everything is good. All right. So this one was actually kind of exhausting. This specific live stream, because of all the thinking that I had to do. All right, let's get this brighter. All right, so this is the end. This is the end of the daily live stream, and it's going to be ending now. I want to thank pretty much everybody that's in my my chat and in Discord. You guys are awesome. I will be coming back on the live stream from time to time. Let me control minus. All right, that's better. So I will be coming back from time to time. Whenever I have a customer that needs help, or I see an email that a customer has a question, or I have the gumption to make myself appear on live stream, I'm coming back. So make sure your notifications are on. Make sure you can see if you want to come back to my live stream, if you enjoyed it. Yeah, now you can you all can have some time off, just like me. So the live stream took a lot out of me. It took several hours of every single day out of me doing what I really want to do and getting things done, even though the live stream was kind of set up in a way that it would allow me to get things done. But now that my life is kind of changing, I'm moving from one place to another. I have to start selling a lot of the stuff that I don't use anymore or throw it out, or I have a lot of changes that I need to make. So I'm going to be ending the live stream because of that. That's one of the reasons. But also because I want to get back into writing the book, the next volume of the microcontroller book, and have some more time so I can start sailing and doing other things. So that's mainly the reason. And also, the being on live stream and being on YouTube it's hard for mental health. So I need to take some time for myself to get things in order. So I really appreciate everybody that came, and I noticed that there were like 90% of you you stuck it out the entire time for all these months. Like, I've been doing this in September of last year daily, and I saw the same people coming in every single time, and I'm like, wow, this is awesome. And all of you are, I would call you my friends, obviously. So my appreciation, you just don't know how appreciative I am for you guys sticking around and enjoying this content, participating in all of the projects that we did together. I will absolutely never forget that until the day I die. This was a really positive time in my life. So I really appreciate everything that you guys have done and participated and enjoyed. And I don't think that there are too many live streams that are like that people just continually come and enjoy and create a community around this. And I want everybody to continue this, continue to get on Discord, and I'll be on there, and we can all still chat. And if anybody has any great ideas and has any desire for me to go back on to a live stream for some reason, they want me to explain something, or you want to talk about a particular subject or whatever, I have no problem with that, and we can potentially do that. So I will probably come. I don't know if I'm going to be doing live streams weekly or monthly. I just don't know. Or it could be just a random thing. And I think it's probably going to be more of like a random thing. You will start to see a lot of content go into my public area, because I will probably be doing editing or automated editing and getting those things pushed out. All the live streams I've been creating since September, I'm going to be pushing those out to the public area of my YouTube, and then after that, it's going to live there for probably several months. Things are going to start disappearing off of YouTube, and they're going to be living on my website. So you'll be able to see all of my videos and stuff. They will be unlisted in the YouTube area, but they will be in my website as permanent placed videos and transcript, and maybe discussions about below that on each video. So I really want my website to become a resource for people, and this is the way I think is the way to do it. So you are all legends. I'm so grateful for everybody that came in and participated with me, and thank you from the bottom of my heart. So keep the discussion going. This is me, Patrick, signing out. Bye-bye.